What is good, everybody, man? Welcome back into the Bluebloods. We are highlighting some of the best players in the 2023, going into the 2023 season at the FCS level. And we are joined today by my guy, Lance Wise, Mercer defensive back. This guy is a two-time team captain, two-time all-conference selection, FCS All-American, Hero Sports FCS All-American, has done it all, man, multiple times SoCon Player of the Month as well. Man, Lance, appreciate you hopping on the show, man.
Man, thank you for having me. It's a blessing.
So I want to go way back, man, because I feel like doing some research on, I feel like at the FCS level, the recruiting process for prospects is so interesting, man, because a lot of you guys were balling out in high school, earning all region, earning all state, playing on great teams. Looking back, when you were coming out of Hillgrove, what was your recruiting process like?
My recruiting process was actually kind of slow. I only had 5 offers. I had Army, Air Force, Columbia, Kent State, and of course Mercer. So the coaches said they always told me they liked my film, but I was undersized to play at the next level, and so I didn't really have much recruitment coming out of high school.
When you look just at your game and development overall, playing is such a I feel like the state of Georgia has probably more talent per capita than just about any state in the US, especially at the high school level. How did playing in at that level at Georgia high school football prepare you for the next level looking back now?
Well, I mean, you play with guys from all over, like from guys that are in the league right now to SEC schools, Power Five, Group Five, FCS. Like you play with guys all over the spectrum. So it kind of prepared me. And it was like, if I can play with those guys, then I can play with anybody.
When you look back at your decision to sign with Mercer, what was it about the program, the coaching staff, the culture around the program that stuck out to you and really convinced you that this was the spot for you to spend your next 4 to 5 years?
Also, I was actually recruited by Bobby Lamb before Drew Cronic got here. And, they made me feel like I was at home. It was only an hour and a half away. So the way they brought me in as a young guy, they catered for me when I was on my official visit. They always checked up on me between basketball season, track season. They always kept in touch, and it made me feel like home. So I appreciate those coaches.
Your freshman season, you really did something that a lot of people wish they could do. You saw action in from the entire season, all 12 games as a true freshman, 30 plus tackles, got a touchdown your first season against the Citadel too. When you look back at that freshman season, what were your biggest learning experiences at the collegiate level?
The game is a lot faster. Having to adjust to that. Everybody was that guy at their respective high school, and then just learning you have to do extra to make a name for yourself, and so that prompted me. And I didn't want to just be one of those guys who made it, didn't perform. So it made me realize that I have to work even harder than I was before.
I know, coach, you build relationships with the staff, and college football is such a tumultuous sport, man. Coaching staffs are shifting in and out all the time. For you, though, how difficult was that coaching change as Coach Cronic and his staff came in after that freshman season?
It's surprisingly easy. Coach Cronic came in with a vision and a plan, and it maybe took a couple of days to buy in because you would have some resistance, but he had a plan to turn this program around. And yeah, some of the stuff was hard, but if we wanted to win, and nothing was going to be easy. So I just stuck with it because he made me believe that we could do this thing, and so that's why I ended up staying. And I had a pretty successful career after.
I think that might be an understatement, man. Just I know the humble brag there, but I mean, you saw all your action in the COVID season, but that was such a weird season. When you look at that development, you got a new coaching staff. It's a COVID season. You don't know if you're going to play each week. You have to deal with all these external factors. What was that season like for you?
Oh man, it opened my eyes. I mean, you learn not to take football for granted. It can be taken away from you whenever, however. So it just like every play was a blessing to be out there, and so you just learn to work hard because you never know when football is going to stop for you.
Man, I feel like the FCS, just if you were a player that played on the FCS team from 2020 to that 2021 spring, for guys to play 2 full seasons in the same calendar year, pretty much, I still don't feel like the media, some people give you guys enough credit for how in shape you really had to be, because it threw off the entire training schedule, preparation for the next season. But 2021 was your All-American season. You were selected as a team captain. You started throughout the season. You first team all SoCon. What clicked for you that season?
Kind of just the game. The game that year, the game really slowed down for me, and I was able to just focus on making the plays that I knew I could make, and the coaches believed in me as well. They pushed me to become the best player I could be, and that season kind of everything kind of just went together. The players started going slower. I learned the defense really well, and I was able to just play at the speed of my own drum, and that's how everything happened.
I feel like one of the accomplishments is, listen, the All American awards are great, the All Conference awards, but to be selected a team captain by your teammates, by your coaches, to be trusted as a leader is a huge deal. You've done this in back to back seasons. I'm assuming going back to this third season as well. When you look at your career, man, and all the accomplishments you've had, what did it mean to you that your teammates put that trust in you season after season?
Oh, it means the world to me. It means that, I'm somebody that they can lean on, that they can count on, they can talk to when things get hard, because there's life outside of football. And for them to believe in me to be a leader of this team, it means everything. Like, yeah, you said all the accolades are good, but, being a guy that people can trust, that means the world to me.
You had the opportunity with coming into your fifth year due to the weird COVID year. You had the opportunity to explore the NFL draft this past season. You had the opportunity to transfer, if you will. I talked to Ty and Dev about this as well. A lot of Mercer's top players are coming back this season and probably would have had opportunities to explore options elsewhere. What was it about the culture of this program that made you decide to return as a graduate?
We weren't done yet. I mean, yeah, everybody's had their individual seasons. Ty and Dev, they're amazing receivers, and they've done unthinkable things since they've been here. But there's still one thing that we have not crossed off, and that is to win a SoCon championship. And at the end of the day, that's what we're here for: is to bring a SoCon championship, the first one here down to Mercer.
Kind of circling back to that, just to build off of that SoCon championship, when you look back to 2021, you guys were one game away from achieving that in that, I believe, that ETSU game the last week of the season. Looking back to that game, what was the biggest learning experience for you and this team on what it's going to take to check that off the to-do list for you guys and getting that ring and that conference championship?
The biggest thing that we've learned was that you have to keep pushing, no matter how good it looks, because we were up by double digits with around 2 minutes to go. And you have to keep pushing, and you can never take any breaks, and then it can slip right through your fingers just like that.
I love that, man. And I know, listen, I get it, but at the end of the day, everyone's a student athlete, man. That student comes first. And I did see you earned that college degree, the Mercer graduate, man. I saw the graduation pictures for you. Just looking back through your entire journey, man, what did that mean to you to be that college graduate, know that you have that degree in hand, and this year you get to shift that focus to putting the final touches on your football career?
Football was always a plus. I mean, I wanted to make sure that I got my degree. And if there was a way that I could, relieve my parents for paying that, then I was going to do it. And, Mercer was blessed. I was blessed for Mercer to give me opportunity to play football here, so getting that degree was just, it meant the world to me. It meant the world to my family, making them proud on and off the field. But like you said, now I can, I am getting my master's right now, but shifting that to football, and just being able to, not really worry about all the tests and all the midterms coming up, and just being able to focus on my craft and getting better for this next year is exciting.
I feel you, man. I remember because I graduated 2018, man. I remember thinking back, I was like, man, those nights of just staying up all night, preparing for those midterms, and you're stressed. You got three in one day potentially. It's like I've never got as fun as I had. I will never wish those nights on myself ever again. That's why I feel you when you said that. But look at just at we know what the team goals are. You've said it. It's that conference championship, making that first playoff appearance in Mercer school history. For you though, man, I mentioned you've got the All-American accolades. You have the team captain. You have the All Conference. You over 200 plus career tackles at your time at Mercer. What does Lance Wise want to accomplish his final year at Mercer?
I just want to leave a lasting impact, on this program. Whether it be from the accolades, from the relationships that I built, I want to be able to leave here and say I gave it my all, and nobody can take that from me. And also, I definitely want a shot at the league, however that may come, whether it be a free agent deal, an undrafted, I get invited to a rookie mini camp. I want my shot to make it to the league from Mercer University. And of course, you want the All-Americans and the All-SoCons, but the league and the lasting impact, those are my two biggest things to coming out of here.
No, I know that's going to be a big thing. I know you're already a preseason All-American for our publication. I'm assuming also the same for Hero Sports coming out later this year. When you shift into some quick hitters, man, looking at your game, whether it's a current or former NFL player, is there an NFL player that you feel like your game models the most?
Ooh, I would say Buda Baker. Undersized safety, can fly around. You can put him at different positions. He likes to hit. I think I compare to Buda Baker.
Looking back though, man, whether this was in practice and or game, what was your welcome to college moment on the field?
Oh, well, I mean, like my very first one was probably the touchdown at Citadel, like you said. I'm a freshman, I'm just basically out there running with my head cut off, and all of a sudden I end up with the ball, and now I know I cannot get tackled. And so that was probably like, you're here now, like you're in college and you can make plays in college as well. And that was one welcome. And I think my one in practice, I have to say it was my freshman year, and we had a running back named Tyree Davis. Big kid, big bowling ball. And I tried to meet him in the hole, and it really did not go well. So, you know, I think I got him down, but I mean, it took him a couple yards to go down, but that was like, okay, I'm not just gonna be able to hit people like I did in high school.
Oh man, there's always that moment where it's like you woke up the next day and you were like, I felt that one.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
that's not what you forget. When kind of building off of that, looking at your game, even though listen, I'm sure you've heard it. Everyone says you're undersized, you're this and that, man. The aggression that you play with at safety, where you're not afraid to come down in the box and go heads up with any running back that I've seen on film. How did you develop that mentality as a defensive back? Because I feel like sometimes the position gets that weird, I guess, a label where it's like, oh, defensive backs don't like to tackle. That can't be said about Lance Wise. When you look at your game, how did you develop that aggressiveness, ready to come downhill and put a hit on somebody?
So it started back in high school. I used to play running back in high school, and my sophomore year, I got hit so hard I switched from running back to safety. And at that point, it was more, I'd rather hit you than get hit. And I kind of sit in the back of my mind, I want everybody to get hit how I got hit back then. And it's just more of it's a mental game that I play with myself.
Oh man, that's amazing. He said I got hit one time, and listen, I said I'm going to be an all conference safety rather than
Yeah,
all conference running back.
that was it
When
right there.
on this show, man, we've had a lot of players on here. I'll be honest, defensive backs get thrown under the bus every single time I have a wide receiver on here. In terms of you guys are the biggest trash talkers of any position. When you look at your game, how big of a trash talker are you between those white lines?
Whew. Well, it's insane. I'm talking. Being a captain, you gotta keep it under control so the refs don't hear you. But man, do I talk. And it's not even just me, it's the whole second. Our whole secondary. We're going to jaw at you 24/7 until you stop us. And after the game we can be buddies, but even in practice, tie in like we're going to jaw at them every chance we get.
If I'm not mistaken, one of them told me that it said the DB unit at Mercer is different in terms of trash talking.
Oh yeah.
And I saw that too. There was I got to go down. I got to come to the, I want to say it was the homecoming game last year against Furman for you guys. And man, it was just so intense, and you could tell like there was some like tension between you guys and the wide receivers over there. So I
Oh
definitely could see
yeah.
that. So I know you play safety, man. So you're really not in man coverage a lot, but one on one in the open field against a running back, what's the number one mistake that running back can make against you?
Uh, Try to slow down to make a move because I'm not gonna stop. I'm going to run at you full speed, and if you slow down even for a split second, you're going to catch a shoulder pad in the chest.
Oh man, that's amazing. When you look at your game, because I already know. Listen, I'll let you shout out the teammates first, but one to two offensive players that you've played against in college that were just different, man. Who were one or two of the best offensive players you faced?
Well, if we're not counting, Alabama and the Auburns.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll leave those out.
Well, Quay Holmes from ETSU, that he was a problem. And I can't remember his name from Citadel. He was number 22. He was receiver, but he ran like a
Ooh.
running back. I think his name was I can't remember his name. Just know he was number 22. He was a receiver. He graduated. I think he got invited to a mini camp or something and made the NFL. Real good kid, big, strong kid. Like he blocked like a tight end, he caught like a receiver, and he ran like a running back. And I don't like him either. I don't.
I feel like
Yeah.
if he's that good, man. Imagine him in an offense outside of the Citadel.
Yeah.
That yeah, it would have been something to see right there. Because if I'm not mistaken, up until recently, man, the Citadel would never throw the football.
Never. Unless they were down real close, and they would have to throw it, but Citadel would never throw the ball.
No, and I know Quay. I mean, listen, his accolades speak for himself, finishing third for the Walter Payton. But man, I gotta ask real quick before we get in the final two questions: how competitive is practice between the defensive back unit and you got, of course, Ty and Dev on the other side, and now you got Carter Peavy stepping in at quarterback. You got Austin Douglas and those guys at running back coming back. When you look at that offense versus defense in practice, how competitive is it?
Oh, it's insane because most of the guys room with the other side of the ball. So you never want to be the one that has to go home, like back to your dorm and hear all the chirping. So, I mean, it's every chance you can get. It's bang, bang every play. Ty and Dev, they don't let them catch a long ball against one of the DBs because you won't hear the end of it. And so it's extremely competitive.
I can only imagine, and it's got to feel good because I was talking to them, and they were like, "Man, the fact that we get to go against our defense every week," he was like, "We don't feel like we have a challenge," and I feel like it's the same for you guys. You're not going to see a receiver that's just light years better than either of those guys.
Oh,
Eh,
absolutely. I mean, you have, usually teams have like their guy at receiver, and that's the
mhm.
one who you key on. With Ty and Dev, like even in practice, you can't key on both of them at the same time, and and it gets so frustrating at times because what I'm saying, you think you're doing a good job covering one, and then here comes the other one just out of nowhere. So it's just like you think you're doing a good job, but you're really not.
You mentioned earlier, man, the ultimate goal is to get a shot at the league, whether it's drafted, undrafted free agent contract. I'm sure XFL, USFL on their radar as well. When you look at just your career and everything you've went through, coming from high school throughout Mercer for 5 years, all the accolades, team captains, what would it mean to you to be the first Mercer player to hear their name called in the NFL draft?
Oh, I mean, it would mean the absolute world to me. Coming from a kid who was told he was undersized, and then COVID happened, so that kind of messed everything up. And then the growth that I've seen in myself after, I mean, it wouldn't even, it would begin. My journey would be like, amazing, and it just, not even for myself, but to bring light on Mercer because there have always been ball players at Mercer, but you really don't win, so you really don't, you're not really noticed around, the nation. And I like that we're gaining national attention, but being first person drafted because we had somebody, Jason Poe,
Mhm.
he got offered, practice squad guy, but we thought he was going to get drafted, but he sadly didn't. But even he's made a name for himself even more and put Mercer on the map because they're like, oh yeah, y'all got this guy in the league now, right? And I'm like, yeah. But being that first guy drafted and hearing our name called, it'd be a dream come true.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Jason. I mean, he's on the active roster now. I want to say played some real meaningful snaps for a team that has made multiple runs to the NFC Championship, man. So shout out to him. And I look at Mercer, man. The draft class that you guys potentially could have with yourself, Ty, Dev, Ken at linebacker slash edge. I mean, you guys have so much talent. Carter, I heard like from what I was told, he's going to be a breakout star as well, and potentially could have his name in there. So the last question, man, if an NFL franchise comes to you and asks you what they're going to get in Lance Wise if they select you in the upcoming NFL draft, what do you tell them?
I tell them they would get a grateful player that isn't afraid to knock somebody's head off, that'll work their tail off 24/7, and that's somebody that's not going to take their shot for granted.
Hey, I think that's all they need to hear, man. Lance, I appreciate you hopping on the show, man. I've definitely been looking forward to this one. I already got Mercer on the schedule, man. I told people I didn't expect it because you hear about the Montana environments, you hear about Jackson State, you hear about FAMU, some of the great FCS environments. I told people Mercer Furman game was electric. The
Oh,
whole game.
yes.
They showed out. And so I want to get back up there, man. The stadium facilities are beautiful. So definitely be back up for a game. But let people know where they can find you on social media, man. Find your journey, contact you for NIL, all that good stuff.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. So my Instagram is Lance Lamont, LanceLamont, and my Twitter is Lance L Wise, LanceLwise.
Perfect, man. Guys, make sure to go follow Lance on all social media. It's going to be a massive season for him and Mercer as they return one of the most stacked teams in the FCS this upcoming season. But for
Yes,
Lance,
sir.
myself, and the Blue Bloods guys, we are out for right now.